All right. So, this video, really the purpose of this video is to show you guys what Onshape is, what it looks like, and how we're going to use it. It should be a pretty quick video, just outlining those things, and then you will have some questions to answer regarding the information in this video. Um, Basically simple things that we go over. So when you go to Onshape, cadonshape.com, you will need to sign up if we haven't already done that in class. If you need to do that, pause this video, come back. Once you've done that, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to sign in. Maybe we'll get going. So this is not linked to your Google Classroom, Google Educational TMI account. This is simply just its own independent thing. And take us to the home screen. So when you sign in, it's going to look like this. Just some things to go over here. This is your dashboard. We are not withdrawing or anything. Your name should be up in this top corner. You can, access your account that way. There's a lot of things you can do in here. I have tons of stuff because I work on a lot of random things and things for you guys. In yours, it's going to be blank. There's all these options over here. You can join a class, which we probably won't do for y'all's class, but maybe in future that be something. Maybe you can always toggle over to recently opened files, which for you, if this is your first time logging in, you will probably have nothing because you haven't opened anything, and that's okay. You can also look at all the things created by you, so you can see here all kinds of stuff I've made, and so on. People can also share stuff with you. So, sometimes students share things with me. I don't typically require it, but you are always welcome to, and I can access your file. There's also this public tab, which just shows you all kinds of stuff made by all kinds of people. And this can be helpful with some things. But right now, you're not going to need this at all. Maybe down the line, you might get curious. You can also search for stuff if you're interested in, like what other people have made, or whether it's certain objects and whatnot. But typically, you don't really need this for the things we do in our class. So if we go back to the home screen, the way we're always going to start something, each project is going to be considered a document. So you can either click right here and select create document. You can also go up here and go to create document. Once you start to, which I probably need to do this, you can create folders for different purposes, maybe different assignments. It's just a way to organize your work in here. You can also import files, which you're probably not going to need to do in this class. But the more advanced you get in Onshape, you might want to import stuff and so on. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a document almost every single time. So again, you can either click here or you can click here and create a document. It's going to automatically have you name it. So, I'll just name my intro to Onshape. You're going to have to create a document for your first actual CAD assignment. So, you label it that, maybe assignment 1 or whatever the name is in Google Classroom, okay? And then this is how it's going to open. In this video, I'm simply just going to go over what all this stuff is. And then in the next video, we will talk about how to actually complete your assignment and start making stuff. So a couple quick things. When you come into a fresh document, you will see here that there are 3 default planes. You can see over here, top left, right as well, top left, right. And these are just reference planes, okay? You're also given like an origin, this little dot in the center. And so this is what you have to work with, at the beginning. Over here on the left, you can see this default geometry. You can select the top plane. So I'm just clicking on it and see how it's highlighting. I can also click on it over here. You know, if I wanted to select all three, I could do that. So just click the front. So you can do that over here. And Onshape works in a way where if you select something, if you want to unselect it, you actually have to click off. You can either click onto it to deselect, or you can click out in space. Okay. And a lot of other programs, if you've used anything else, typically you can hit escape and it'll unselect everything, but Onshape is not like that. So, you know, it's pretty intuitive and you start to get used to it. But for somebody that's used like AutoCAD or any of those Autodesk softwares, it's a little bit of a change. So, anywho, you've got that over here. Over here, you'll also, so this is your features tab on the left, and then also your parts. Once you start to generate actual things like objects and parts, they are called parts, actual solid things, they will start to populate over here, and you'll see that in the next video as we start to make stuff. Features are going to be the commands that you do in order to make those parts. You know, so for example, your features, you might, you know, draw a sketch of a square and then extrude it into a cube. Then you'll see a sketch and an extrude, and then once that cube is created, then you'll see a part made. Again, in the next video, this will all come full circle and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. So this tab here, you can collapse it if it starts to get in your way as you're modeling. Bring it back out. You can also, you know, adjust how wide it is. Sometimes if you're just really trying to get after something and working on the modeling, it's nice to close it. But you know, that option's there. It never, you can't accept this. You can just collapse it, which is kind of nice. Right now in this drawing, in this document, we are in a part studio. So down here on the bottom, you'll see there's two tabs that default into an Onshape document. One is a part studio, one is an assembly. Do not worry about the assembly at all for right now, especially as we learn Onshape, the introductory kind of modeling skills in Onshape. We will get to this, but we're going to be working completely in the part studio right now. So the part studio is literally where we make our parts. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. This is where we make stuff. As you can maybe assume or guess, the assembly is where you like assemble all your parts together exactly how you want. You can simulate movement and the way that things work together. So we'll get to this actually relatively quickly in our class. But for right now, just, you know, just know it's there, but you don't really need to be in that tab. We'll be working in the part studios. You can always add part studios, you know, say for example, I can show you a quick document real quick actually where I have a ton of stuff. Like I've made so many parts because it's one of my model houses. You know, my part studio one, I have a lot of like kind of random objects like a door, archway, windows and things like that. Pathways, like random parts I've made. And then in my part studio two, I have a lot of this is going to be hidden, a lot of these parts. You know, I have like my actual house. Parts, as you can see, is not perfectly aligned because this isn't my assembly, it's still my part studio. But it kind of got to the point where I had so much stuff in here and I wanted to focus on these parts in here, and so I created a second part studio to make you know, those other parts. Okay, so once drawings start to get complex and you have lots of parts, that might be an option. So anyways, let's go back to our blank drawing with too much stuff. So again, you can add part studios. We'll eventually get to assemblies. There are all these tools up here at the top. This is your tool ribbon. You can always hover over things and it'll tell you what it is. I'm not clicking, I'm just hovering. So like extrude, revolve, sweep, loft. even it, like sometimes too, if you hover over it for like long enough, like that, it'll actually describe what it is to you, which is really nice. It also gives you a shortcut, Shift E. You know, as you get more into this program, you might start to use shortcuts. But if you always use buttons, it's okay. There's also other kinds of things you can use shell. You can create hulls, ribs, fillets are something we use a lot in chamfers as well. Um, Mirroring things, creating patterns out of things. So this is really helpful up here, and we start to kind of chip away at learning how to use all these throughout our assignments. However, you can't do anything with any of these until you have actual geometry out here. So, you know, without an actual object or even a sketch or a face or anything, you cannot really use these. So, but we will get there. I just want you to kind of know what all this stuff is roughly and where to find it. If you ever hear me refer to the tool ribbon, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. And then lastly in this video, I do want to talk about like how I'm doing what I'm doing. So right now to like pan around and kind of drag and zoom, I'm using the scroll on my mouse to zoom, and then I'm actually clicking down the scroller to pan around like this, okay? Once you start to get objects in here, you're going to want to learn how to use this kind of orbiting feature, okay? And the way I'm doing this is on my mouse, I'm holding down the right key and I'm dragging. Okay, so to pan is the center click, the center scroll, like click it down. Zooming is scrolling the center little wheel. And then to orbit is going to be holding down the right click on the mouse and drag it. Okay, if you hold down the left click and drag, that's going to give you like a tool. It's just going to highlight and be able, you can select stuff, which can be nice. You know, like if you have objects out here and you want to select them. We don't have anything out here, so it's not going to select anything, but eventually that'll be helpful. And then if you ever like kind of get all jacked up and you want to get this thing back out to how it was, but you can't get your like orbits doing exactly, you can also click on this cube up here and just click on the angles. Like I like to, you know, click these corners to get me perfectly back in that isometric view. But maybe sometimes you want to toggle over and just see the top. Okay, that can be really nice, especially if you're wanting to analyze like the geometry on something. You can just click on the right and isolate that 2D plane. So that can be helpful. The view cube is very helpful when you're wanting to just see different angles of what you're looking at. I call it the view cube. I don't know if that's actually what it's called. But if you're in my class and you hear me say that, that is what I'm talking about. There's also other tools like you can just rotate slightly. But ideally, you know, if you're working with a mouse, this click and right click and drag orbit thing is like super helpful. I just like to click these things up here, like the corners of the cube, to reorient myself as it was initially. So, anyways, that is the last thing. Onshape, because it's web-based, will save all your stuff, which is super nice. And so you don't have to click save anywhere. One thing you can check is like if you come out, you know, say last open, you can see that drawing right there. And it'll give you a preview of what's in there. You can also just click into it real quick, and as long as it loads everything you have, then it's saved properly. So that is it for this first video. Go ahead and answer the questions according to this first video, and then start on your second one, and we'll get to start making some parts.